Hello there everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. Today I am going to review a series, or I suppose a season that took me a long while to actually finish watching, and that's obviously Game of Thrones season 1. I started watching it around I think March or something like that, and obviously now I finished it, and by the time this video is online it will probably be a bit longer than that, so there we go. But obviously I jumped on the bandwagon and watch Game of Thrones season 1. Yes, I've seen a couple of episodes throughout the years, but obviously I had this season 1 to 4 box set at home. I bought it like I think a year and a half ago somewhere in Bruges on like a second-hand shop or whatever for like 10 euros, and yeah, I got around to watching the first season. I'm not quite sure how long it will take for me obviously to completely complete this box set for 4 seasons. You know, it might take a long time, but I hope it won't, so there we go. Alright, but that aside, Game of Thrones season 1 is the first season of Game of Thrones. It consists of 10 episodes. It premiered with Winter is Coming on April the 17th 2011 on HBO. So there we go. And concluded with Fire and Blood on June the 19th 2011. It is based on the Game of Thrones, obviously the first novel of A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin, and has now obviously become a massive, huge success with a couple of spin-off series like A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms and House of the Dragon as well. But yeah, obviously this is the first season, and like I said, I've seen a couple of episodes throughout the years, so I know a couple of characters and I know a couple of storylines. But obviously watching the first season, just it amazed me so much. Like, the storytelling was so great and the character developments were awesome. To be honest, I've got to say season 1 was a huge amazing watch for me. You know, I studied the characters, I studied like the philosophy about them, and the philosophy about Westeros and Estros as well, and I'm a big fan. I'm so happy that I finally watched it, so there you go. Obviously, you know, it took me a long while, but there we go, better late than never, I suppose. So there we go. Based on the best-selling fantasy book series A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin, obviously Hugo and Nebula award-winning author, this sprawling HBO drama is set in a grounded fantasy world inhabited by ambitious man and woman of both honor and ill repute, much like our own real world. So there you go. Season 1 spans a period of several months on a world where the seasons last for years at a time. Obviously, summer is quite long, like I think a summer or a winter is like a few years even, so there we go. That's really interesting. The action begins in the unified Seven Kingdoms of Westeros as long summer ends and winter draws near. Winter is coming, obviously. Lord Eddard Stark is asked by his old friend King Robert Baratheon to serve as the Hand of the King, following the death of his previous incumbent, Eddard's mentor Jon Arryn. Eddard is reluctant but receives intelligence suggesting that Jon was murdered. Eddard accepts Robert's offer, planning to use his position and authority to investigate that alleged murder. Meanwhile, on the eastern continent of Essos, the exiled children of House Targaryen, which Robert destroyed to claim the throne, are plotting to return to Westeros and unseat the usurper. I think to this end, Viserys Targaryen arranges the marriage of his sister Daenerys to Khal Drogo, the leader of 40,000 Dothraki warriors, in return for the use of his warriors in invading Westeros. For her part, Daenerys just wants to save refuge far away from King Robert's assassins and her brother's scheming ambition. Finally, on the northernmost border of the Seven Kingdoms, the Sworn Brothers of the Night's Watch, which is literally me. I mean, if I were a Game of Thrones character, I would end up there probably. So there we go. Guard the wall. Obviously, the Night's Watch is very interesting. They're essentially like stoic warriors that kind of just wait till the inevitable White Walkers or the Ice Walkers come. So there we go. A 300-mile long colossal fortification of ice which has stood for thousands of years. The Watch defends the wall against the depredations of the lawless wildlings who live beyond, but rumor speaks of a new threat arising in the lands of perpetual winter. So there we go. There are obviously 10 episodes. The first one is Winter is Coming, the second is The King's Road, third is Lord Snow, obviously the fourth is Cripples, Bastards and Broken Things, the fifth is The Wolf and the Lion, obviously represents the house of the Lannisters and the house of the Starks. Episode 6 is a golden crown. Episode 7 is you win or you die. Episode 8 is the pointy end. Episode 9 is Baylor, and episode 10 is Fire and Blood. So there you go. Obviously, the cast is awesome. The cast is really, really good. So obviously we have Sean Bean as Eddard Stark. Obviously he was in 9 episodes, and the main character essentially in the first season, which is really interesting. Yes, spoilers alert for, I think like the series is already 13 or 15 years old. But yeah, he dies at the end of the season, and obviously that's the beginning point of the Game of Thrones, right? Sean Bean's character, Eddard Stark, is killed. So yeah, he was really good in this first season. Mark Addy as Robert Baratheon, obviously in 7 episodes. He gets killed, obviously, as well, by an evil, I suppose, scheme. So there we go. Alright, we also have Nikolaj Coster-Wildey as Jaime Lannister, which is a really interesting and kind of a dickhead character. Michelle Fairley as Catelyn Stark, a really interesting character as well, and very smart one as well. Lena Headey as Cersei Lannister. Yeah, she's... Hear me out, guys. Hear me out.
Yes. Is it weird? Nah. Hear me out.
She's kind of interesting and smart and stuff like that. I might have been crushing on her for the first season, but hey, things were changed probably, so there we go. Emilia Clarke as Daenerys Targaryen, obviously the Dragon Queen herself. And in the last episode of season 1, we obviously see her with her dragons as well. So yeah, one of the most popular characters in the entire series of Game of Thrones. Ian Glenn as Jorah Mormont, I think, guard of Emilia Clarke's Daenerys Targaryen as well. So there we go. He's also a very interesting character. He doesn't really do a lot, but he has some very interesting and wise quotes that he drops to the Daenerys as well. We have Aidan Gillen as Peter Baelish, I think, which is like one of the council members of the king. We have Harry Lloyd as Viserys Targaryen, which he comes, his death is kind of, I would say, ironic. He deserves a golden crown and he gets a golden crown, so there we go. Kitharrington as Jon Snow, one of the main characters and one of my favorite ones, to be honest. Sophie Turner as Sansa Stark. She's interesting, but she doesn't really do a lot. But now she is in a position of, like, obviously she's kind of almost married to King Joffrey, and she is obviously his queen. But Sansa will probably be around to, I'm not quite sure, to do something and stop Joffrey as well. Can't wait to see where that will go. Maisie Williams as Arya Stark, one of the main characters as well, and one of the most crucial characters as well. And Arya is like this tomboy. She doesn't really do girly things, but she's a warrior at heart, so there we go. Richard Madden as Robb Stark, one of the children of, obviously, Sean Bean's Eddard Stark. So there we go. We have Alfie Allen as Theon Greyjoy. He's, I believe, also one of the children. No, he's, I think, one of the persons who just works at the kingdom of Eddard Stark's character. So there we go. Isaac Hempstead Wright as Bran Stark. So there we go. He is obviously also one of the main characters. He gets pushed out of a window by the Lannisters, and yeah, obviously he is also a very interesting character. I can't wait to see where that will go in the future with him. So there we go. We have Jack Gleeson as Joffrey Baratheon. Just such a dickhead character. I mean, I don't really like him, but he's now the king of Westeros, I suppose. And yeah, can't wait to see where that will go. So there we go. We have Rory McCann as Sandrick Laken as well, which is also the Hound, aka his name is obviously the Hound as well. And he will also be Balon Skull in Ahsoka Season 2, which is really cool. And obviously we have Peter Dinklage as Tyrion Lannister. He's such a great character. Obviously, there are some great characters in this first season. We get introduced to some great characters. Like I said, Sean Bean's character, Eddard Stark, was one of my favorite ones in the first season. He died, obviously, but he's kind of like haunting the plot, so he's always kind of relevant in the stories. I really liked him. He was great. I also really liked Daenerys Targaryen. Obviously, she is going to become one of the most influential characters in the entire Game of Thrones lore. I also really like Jon Snow. Obviously, his character arc will be, I suppose, kind of butchered in the last season, but I'm not going to watch till season 8. I'm just going to watch the season that I've got in this brand new box set that I bought a few years ago or a few months ago or whatever. So there we go. We also have Sansa and Arya Stark. They're also very interesting characters. Can't wait to see where they will go eventually. Right now, I don't really know a lot of it. You know, I know where some of these characters will end up. But right now, I'm going to stay grounded and just hope that some of these characters will actually do something important later down the line. So there we go. I also really liked Joffrey. He's kind of like a dickhead, but in a good way, right? The writers just, you know, present him as like such a annoying character, and it's working for me, you know. And we have Tyrone Lannister. Obviously, Peter Dinklage is such an amazing actor. His role, the way he acts, is amazing. Like, really so good, so great and amazing. Yeah, like I said. Obviously, we also have Jason Momoa as Drogo. And, you know, he is in 9 episodes, but he also, you know, gets killed off. Which essentially is also what starts Daenerys, her, you know, path to becoming the Queen of the Dragons once again. So there we go. Or I suppose she will rule the 7 Kingdoms at some point as well, or tries to do. So there we go. Alright, but some really, really great actors and actresses that I already know from a couple of other shows and movies. Like, obviously, Maisie Williams was also in Doctor Who in Series 9. And I know her as Ashildra, so that's great. And obviously she was in the New Mutants film as well. Sophie Turner will be the next Lara Croft. And, you know, she's a redhead and she's beautiful. So there we go.
Yes, he'd be liking the redheads.
Kit Harington as Jon Snow, a very iconic actor as well. He played, obviously, the Black Knight in Marvel. Can't wait to see where Marvel will go with him as well, but I'm not quite sure. Anyhow, we also have Richard Madden as Robb Stark, and Richard Madden was also in the Eternals movies. Together, obviously, he starred along with Kit Harington at some point as well. So there we go, very cool. So alright, that's very, very nice. The writers are David Benoff, Brian Cogman, Jane Espenson, and George R.R. Martin for episode 8 as well. So there we go. And George R.R. Martin is obviously the author of the books. Season 1 was mainly filmed on location in Northern Ireland and Malta, with the Paint Hall facility in Belfast being used as the main studio. Due to the limitation of filming time, there was very little shot for the reason for white. Due to limitation of filming time, there was a very little shot for the season, which was not eventually used. However, a notable scene cut was a flashback scene featuring the execution of Brandon Stark at the hands of the Mad King. Actors were cast for this scene and it was filmed, even appearing in some trailers, but ultimately was not used. The scene did not even appear on DVD or Blu-ray releases for this season. Season 1 Game of Thrones was released on DVD and Blu-ray on March 6, 2012 in the United States, obviously, so there we go. On release, the DVD and Blu-ray became the fastest selling release in the history of HBO, outselling its first week box sets of series such as The Sopranos, Band of Brothers and True Blood. It sold over 350,000 copies in its first week on sale, with 57% of those sales on the Blu-ray format. It also has set new HBO records for digital sales. So there we go. Alright, very, very cool, right? So the season generally follows the first novel, Game of Thrones, and consists of a few scenes based on the second novel, A Clash of Kings. So there we go. And, you know, I'm really excited to see where this will go in the second season. I'm just a big fan of it, you know, since Game of Thrones was still good, I suppose. So there we go. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed this review/video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will check you later. Goodbye, everyone.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
I am not the only traveler who is not repaid his debt.